We're back.
We're back.
It's
Right.
been some time since our last series of podcasts or
Yeah.
blogs or things like that.
And we're a little more casual today because it's extremely hot out. So
Yeah. So
um,
one of the things that we wanted to talk about today, and this is something that that if you're watching this is an issue that is probably near and dear to your heart, and that's hiring care and bringing in care to supplement the care that your family is already providing. A lot of people think that Medicare pays for that, and the
They
big
do
surprise, Medicare does not pay for
No.
that.
no,
Private insurance doesn't pay for that.
correct.
If you qualify, in-home supportive services will pay for that, but good luck.
Yeah.
You have to qualify from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
And what they do is they put you through a process where you actually have to show how much care you need. And there's a formula that goes into that, and I'm not terribly familiar with it, but a lot of times people think that they're going to be able to get 24-hour care,
And they can't.
and you won't.
No.
Because if in-home supportive services was able to provide 24-hour care, why would anybody go to a nursing home?
Exactly.
You know,
And that 24-hour care, we're talking 3 shifts. We're not talking 1,
Right.
not even 2, because you're talking 7 days a week, 24 hours. That's way, way, way too long for a caregiver to be not to be rotated out.
Yeah. And the other thing is the labor laws basically do not allow people to work in an overtime situation.
Correct.
You have to kind of decide how much care you need, and patients
What can
almost.
Michael, it's an issue of support.
Yeah.
I mean, financial dollars and cents. It boils down to the
Well,
family.
let's just assume that you can pay for it.
Okay.
Let's assume that you can. We'll start first with people who have money. People who have money who want care in the home and want to stay at home, they are usually shocked by how much it costs.
Correct.
And we're talking if someone needs 24/7 care, you are going to have 3 different people every day, plus 2 additional different people times 3 on the weekends, because no one can work 40 hours.
No.
I'm not sure if I calculated that out right, but these are people who have resources.
Well, your calculation's close enough.
Yeah. And I want you to know what happens with most people is that the patient will say, they're just sitting there staring at me.
Yeah.
Why do I need someone to sit here and stare at me? And one of the things that I will always tell people is, well, we can't predict when you're going to go to the bathroom or need to go to the bathroom or need to have some assistance. And so certainly they can do other things while you're there. Changing the oil in your car and trimming your hedges is not one of them. But sometimes patients think that needs to be done, so I can have them do that.
Well, they also think that there's going to be some general housework and house cleaning.
Right.
And depending on the level of care that you've hired, an RN certainly is not going to. An LVN is probably not going to. And a CNA, depending on how many jobs they're working, probably doesn't have the energy to do it. So you're really kind of stuck with expectations that are unrealistic.
Yeah. One of the things that's a challenge is that patients with dementia, for example, really do need to have someone there providing supervision. They can't be left alone. There are some families that are willing to kind of cover it by saying, you know what, I don't think we really need somebody at night. The patient's sleeping, and we'll just kind of go without at night. Or we'll just, as a family, do it ourselves, help someone to the bathroom, things like that. But it is a challenge, and that's something that people don't really calculate into their long-term care solution.
Correct.
And when they're dying, they don't even think about it. But the reality is you're going to need to have care.
Yes, but if you were to put this patient in a different setting, say a facility, regardless of whether they call it a rehab or assisted living or whatever, you're, again, because of staffing, you're not always going to get the response that you need at the time you feel you need it. And that can be true of the family and the patient, where the family comes in and says, oh my God, it's 12 o'clock and my loved one hasn't been bathed and cleaned up for the day. And then you look down the hall and you realize that for that shift, they may be 2 or 3 people down and they're scrambling. We have a real problem right now in that we normally the CNA capability comes from our foreign brethren and sisterin, and they're not being allowed in the country right now. And this is worldwide, folks. This is not just our problem in the United States. This is everywhere. So we need to be able to look at that in a more realistic manner and plan for it, which is what Michael and I are hoping people are.
One of the things that I will always bring up, and it depends on if people have the resources to hire care, but they don't have nearly as much money available to them, I will frequently make some suggestions that they look at a small board-in care. And depending on the area of the country, you may call them group family homes or something along the lines of that, where it's a residential environment, usually has 4 to 6, maybe 8 residents,
Period.
and that's it. And they've got 2 caregivers plus the administrator, who's oftentimes an RN or capable of assisting as well. But in those kind of settings, you're actually, for the cost, you're going to get 24-hour care. You're going to have somebody that will be available to you.
Yes.
Now, it won't be your home, but it'll be your room.
It'll be,
Yeah,
and you will most likely have a roommate.
But not so much. Maybe in Southern California, a lot of what we're seeing is private rooms. You're going to pay more for a private room, but depending on what's going on with you, you may be willing to do that.
Yeah, but Michael, it's boiling down to dollars and cents, isn't it?
Right.
And that's the critical piece.
The thing that's fascinating to me is we used to talk about how in certain cultures there would always be a woman, almost always a woman, who would not be working outside the home, who would actually come in and be the caregiver for grandma, grandpa, or some other family member. And that oftentimes in some cultures, that person has that role for many, many years because they're taking care of a number of people.
Correct.
Certainly something for you to think about.